So today I got word from Greg that we had an unusual event happening today, one that wasn't very unusual 30 years ago.
I want to see.
It's got brass on it.
Oh,
So excited. It was the arrival of a Model T.
look at this old brass beauty. She's a full unit.
Yeah. It's got to be 10 years since we had a Model T in here.
Lights are on it. I'm surprised at that. A couple flies in it.
I only got one fly on this side.
You know, I've liked Model Ts for a long time. Is it running condition?
He said it ran 2 years ago, so.
So no. I cut my teeth on them 30 years ago when I started the company. Give me a shove. There's no brakes.
That way?
Down to your left a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. Hold it right there. Straight. There you go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wow.
Okay.
There's the brake.
Had a little pucker there.
Jeez.
That's a nice old Survivor. Now it's got a carb on it. Oh, it's got all the bits. So that system might work.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of compression in it. So if this is a 1915, it's all wrong. It has brass on it. And by 1915, Ford wasn't using any brass on Model Ts. 13 or 14 was when they went to paint it because people were fed up with having to polish brass. So let's face it, we all like brass now because we don't have to clean all of it every day. Again, that's like an early thing, eh?
Yeah.
But could very well have been restored in the 1950s because that's when a lot of them were restored. And a lot of people put all this stuff on because they thought brass looked cool. So a lot of the black cars have brass all over them. It's either had things added to it or it's an older car. That wood's in nice shape. This thing's been kept dry. I walked around and I shoved it in all the places I know that they have a lot of give if they're rotten inside. And this is a good solid car. Look at this, center door. That's a pretty typical arrangement because you wanted good access for the ladies with the skirts for the back seat, but the front seat, the men were wearing pants, they could get in and out easily.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not everybody can drive a Model T.
4 wooden coil boxes.
This thing has a very strange electrical system to it.
There is a series for ignition. They're called coil boxes. They're a little buzz box. What happens is they create a spark, which is then transmitted to the engine. I mean, you'll hear them, they just buzz away.
Turn the crank just a little bit.
I want to hear the coil boxes. I don't want to try to start it. So I'm always a little bit interested when you put power to Model T and you gently turn it over if each one of those buzz boxes buzzes. Oh, there's one. We got a coil box. Slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Last one's kind of.
They need some adjusting. They're pretty weak. You know, modern guy gets in there, puts a battery in it, throws some gas in. He's still not going to be able to drive it because they don't drive like anything else. Yeah, it's nice to see something like this. I really do miss 19-teens and 20s cars. You know, the thing with cars is there's sort of a wave that travels between 30 and 40 years behind us. And that wave is an interest in cars that people fell in love with when they were teenagers and when they couldn't afford them. Well, of course, Model Ts are a long, long time ago. And 90% of the guys who wanted a Model T when they were a teenager are no longer with us. So the interest has waned. Actually, I'm looking forward to seeing the work on this one. I might roll up my sleeves a couple of times myself. I'm really fond of Model Ts, so it's one that I would pay special attention to. One of our more significant projects we're doing this year is a 62 Rambler, believe it or not. A little red convertible. Now, in and of itself, it's not that exciting. But what we're doing with this one is we're getting it ready to take to Comic-Con down in San Diego this year.
So this 62 Rambler is going to Comic-Con because it's the same type of car that was in the TV show Third Rock from the Sun. You know, same color, same top, same everything.
Everyone fully formed? Yeah, everyone got 10 fingers, 11 toes.
It's actually going to be used in a raffle to promote the re-release of Third Rock from the Sun on the Cozy Network.
We don't usually work with deadlines because, I mean, this industry, you just can't. But we have this short window to get this thing running, and then it has to be to Comic-Con.
When the car came in, it looked all great, but then one day I went to pull it outside, boom, front wheel falls off. So I ended up cobbling it back together to move it. Now suddenly, it's my car to work on. There we go. So here's the old control arm. And you can see where it broke. So the outer piece broke right off. So the new one goes in, and then you're gonna have to sandwich it together with the shock bolt, and that's what happened. It just, bloop, the bolt fell out, and then these pieces pulled apart. This broke. So now just trying to get it lined up. Okay. I'm just gonna use a little ratchet strap here and try and pull it back towards the direction I want it to go. Pull a little straight. The ratchet strap right now is just pulling the front control arm back a little bit so I can get the shock bolt in. And once I get the shock bolt in and kind of snug down a few threads, then I have to try and get this to turn over so it'll line up with that hole. It's a long way to go, man.
The 67 Firebird came in. We did a full paint on it. Barry did a great job picking the color, mixing it custom. The customer's thrilled with the color.
Looks good, your angle looks good.
We ordered the LS 364 505 horse.
Down and in.
So that's a modern V8 engine, fuel injected. For this car, that's a perfect engine.
Little fire-breathing dragon underneath there with a Tremec 6-speed behind it. So this is gonna be a wild little car.
Coming in.
Yep, coming in and dropping.
I think if you're gonna put a motor in, whoa, there's two things you gotta consider. They're extremely heavy,
Down, down, down.
so you need a quality engine hoist.
Okay, Tommy, you can do the jack under the transmissions.
And it always helps to have some extra hands around.
I think you can just jack. Let her down, we're looking good here. It looks like it's going right in, man.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what are you gonna do with your header now?
Hold on.
Yep.
We gotta be really careful not to
Scratch and move.
scratch this baby, because
He slides that up and through, you grab it, and be very, 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 very careful. Get it in place and hold it, then we'll put a couple screws in.
I might gotta go up with the motor.
Up with the engine, okay, hang on there, guys. I'll give her a little pumper.
There we go.
Stop.
Okay.
Okay.
You got her, Tommy?
So I think you might be fine. You got it bolted on that side?
Yeah.
Oh, drop her down. Hang on, hang on. Just, oh, you're in. You're down. Looks good in there.
This one went in unbelievably easy. It almost never seems to go easy, so it was refreshing.
That's beautiful.
I got something, but not much. Gotta get it spinning over faster than that.
I don't know how fast he's gonna get it to us.
We need to have that part yesterday. I don't care if he's got to strap it to a carrier pigeon and fly it here.
I know.
So the Rambler, I'm trying to get the lower control arm in. I don't know what to say here. See, I have to get that to turn. It doesn't want to go. Now I'm starting to wonder if the other control arm's bent outwards, because this one comes down and it's pretty straight. And now when I look at this one, it's pushed out. There's no way I'm gonna pull it back into the hole with a ratchet strap. Trying to fix a suspension component like that that's engineered to work. You just can't start, it's bent, oh, we'll just bend it back. The geometry needs to be right, and it needs to be a good solid part. Anything with suspension, steering, and brakes, you can't mess around with. I'm gonna have to go ask Mike if he can pull a rabbit out of a hat and find another controller.
So the Model T made it into the shop. When we're gonna see what needs to be done on it, finish the assessment.
The first thing we're gonna do to assess this engine is do a compression check. Make sure we got compression in all the cylinders. You need that for the engine to run. I removed the spark plugs, and the spark plug holes are 1/2-inch national pipe thread. So it's a big hole that I have to get my little compression tester in. That's the common size for a spark plug nowadays, is like this. So that's like a good bit difference. So I have to come up with an adapter. I throw stuff in here sometimes. I think I might have something already here. Just sort of jam that in there. Oh, this will work. Oh, look at that. There we go. We got my modern adapter jimmied into the end of this spark plug. We just bridged 100 years of technology. Okay. I got something, but not much. Got about 15 pounds. Like on a modern engine, you'd like to see like at least 120, 150 PSI. But this one I've got so far 15 with me cranking over, which is not enough. All right, gotta get it spinning over faster than that. Let's see if this works. Well, I tried to crank it over by hand, but I can't get it to spin over fast enough, so I hooked up a battery and just jumped the starter. See what happens here. I got a reading there, 45, nearly 50, which is acceptable for this old engine. It only has 4.5 to 1 compression ratio. And that one I got 0. The number 2 cylinder was no compression whatsoever, so we're gonna have to get in there and figure out what's going on.
So this Rambler, Brad's working his ass off on it, and we're gonna hopefully get it down to Comic-Con on time.
Well, could you pick the job to give me? If I can't get this to line up, we're in that predicament where we're gonna need another controller. You know, we waited a couple of weeks for the other part to come in. It came in, now we've noticed that it needs another part. So we don't have 2 weeks.
What's up?
Hey, Mike. Got the rear control arm in, but now I noticed that the front one's bent as well.
So we gotta get another
So I need a front one.
This business, the parts department, terrible job. I mean, we have 40 to 50 cars here right now. Each one of them is in a different level of restoration. And he's got to find parts for all these weird cars.
I can ask him to ship it to us as quick as possible.
You know, when did that say time sensitive? We need to have that part yesterday.
We put him through hell here.
I don't care if he's got to strap it to a carrier pigeon and fly it here.
And yeah, he comes through, he works his butt off, finds the things, and just blows me away.
Carrier pigeon with a rocket pack. Got
That's it.
Perfect.
Make her happen.
If the glue isn't dry, 20 years down the road, you take that piece of vinyl off, it's still going to be wet. It'll never dry.
Cracking the bleeder screws, that's my next surprise. Are they gonna break off? And then I have to pull the wheel cylinders. Oh, now the brake lines are no good. It's love of old cars. You really gotta love them. So the Rambler got a front control arm on its way, but of course, there's a few other things to tidy up on it. The master cylinder was rebuilt because it had no brakes, so I'm gonna get the master cylinder on and just give it a good check over on everything else that might be a surprise all of a sudden. I got Talon in the car. He's gonna help me bleed the brakes. He looks like he could be an alien. A very effective way to bleed the brakes is to have someone in the car and apply pressure on the pedal. And then at the wheel cylinder side, you crack the bleeder open. And it lets any air out. It's called pressure bleeding, so it takes 2 people to do that. Oh. But of course, the bleeder screws haven't been off probably in 20 years, so you gotta soak them down, lube them up. They're very, very small. They're very prone to breaking right off, so that's my next surprise. Are they gonna break off when I go to do them? And then I have to pull the wheel cylinders off, and then after the wheel cylinder, oh, the brake lines come off. Oh, now the brake lines are no good. Okay, Talon, I'm gonna let you down. It's gonna need more work. Yay. I see this all the time. Car comes in for something simple, this or that, and then when you really start looking at it, it's like, I might have some problems here. It's the snowball effect with these old cars, right? Looks shiny from the outside, but it's what's underneath that's gonna get you. It's love of old cars. You really gotta love them. And I'm just trying to get it perfect here without wasting too much of our limited amount of time.
So Dan's working on the 67 Firebird, and he's doing custom wrap on all of the interior, the console, the center dash piece. These ones had some wood grain and some chrome and a bunch of different things in it.
It's aluminum, And then they have like a metal piece that goes over top with the wood grain on it. The owner wants to make his car a little bit different than all the other ones. And to put a couple coats of glue on, so it's never gonna come off again. That's the thing about wrapping stuff. You have to put a coat on, let it dry thoroughly, and then put another coat on just before you do it. And this is the big moment here. We get things started at the top. And then I just glue all the way down and pull it as I'm going. The glue has to be tacky and can't be too wet because it'll never dry. 20 years down the road, you take that same piece of vinyl off, it's still gonna be wet. And if the glue isn't dry, then it'll just lift. The time you don't wanna make a wrong cut or something, but we'll just do it a little bit at a time. So I can fold over and tuck it inside. Well, it came up pretty nice. The thing with that particular console is there's an ashtray and it's got a little door, so now I gotta cover the ashtray. So I want the sew line to come around to the back of this. So I had to make the back side 1/4 inch smaller than the front. So I stretch it. And then I strategically made notches in the material, so as I'm sewing it, I pull all the notches to the right spot so it all comes nice and tight, so when I pull it around, all the sewing's on the inside. So you don't see it, this looks like a covered piece. It's actually working out pretty good. Yeah, probably got 4 packs of cigarettes in that, maybe more.
I mean, nobody's gonna ever smoke in this car ever again. But what we normally do is if there's some sort of radio hookup, we hide it in the ashtray and he can open the ashtray, get his cord out if he needs to.
Voila. Should be just perfect when you get in there.
Okay, let's see if she'll start.
Ronnie, I feel like you could crank it by hand faster. We're listening for new creaks and smells because the car was never test driven until now.
I know the Model T has at least one dead cylinder, so we're gonna see if we can test fire it to see if there is some carbon or something stuck in one of the valves. So let's get the thing running, and maybe it'll blow out any crap that's in there and restore our compression. It's hard to get in and out of this thing. Pain. Okay, let's see if she'll start. It's gonna start, boys. It's gonna fucking start.
Ronnie, I feel like you could crank it by hand faster.
Kicking. Looks like the transmission is partially engaged. As soon as I cranked it over a couple of times, Dave and Greg were both there.
Pull up your choke.
Can you hear the coil boxes firing?
I got it on battery now, not mag.
We'll try it on mag.
Okay, it's on mag.
Just turn it over very gently by hand.
Okay, there's one.
Dave's got a lot of experience with the old cars, so having his ear there and being able to see if we can get the coils to fire individually, you hear them buzz.
They don't buzz for long, right?
And when you know they're buzzing, that means that you're gonna have spark.
No, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna turn the gas off. We didn't get lucky with this one. Kicked a few times, but wouldn't start.
Try one more. Try one more just for fun.
Having a low compression in one cylinder, it doesn't faze me too much. This thing's not far away from running. These motors are pretty durable. I can't imagine seeing a motor from today's day and age, 100 years from now, crank it over and actually have a couple of fires.
Almost fired again.
Whatever is keeping that one cylinder from firing, it's gonna present itself if we had the whole thing just sparked up and running.
So what we'll probably end up doing is rebuilding this engine.
We're gonna, pull it apart, get in there and see what the cause is.
So the Rambler here We got the new control arms installed, all bolted back together. Mike got them here in like record time. Gonna get it out for a test drive today and make sure that all the work is bulletproof and its wheels aren't gonna fall off. This car, for it to come in and we have less than a month, there's always that pressure, not knowing if you're gonna get the parts. Then it's still gotta make its way to Comic-Con in San Diego. That's a 3-4 day drive at least.
Old cars, they'll kick you in the butt every time. Everything's ready to go, and then something else either fails or doesn't cooperate.
So we're always listening for new creaks and smells and anything that might seem out of the ordinary because the car was never test driven until now.
This is just what we deal with on a daily basis. Sometimes it goes smooth and other times it doesn't.
Test drive seems awesome. The control arms, they seem nice and tight. Steering's responsive. And the brakes are working good. Engine's ticking along. It's just a little 4-cylinder, but everything's working great. Great little car to put the top down and just cruise nice and easy.
So this is a win. Now they can get it shipped and down to Comic-Con on time.
I'm super confident the work I've done is 100%. That seems perfect.